Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Sharmit podcast. Today I'm honored to introduce another special guest, Morten Knudsen, a Microsoft MVP and a security expert joining us from Denmark. If I talk about Morten, then he brings 3 plus decades of IT experience. He is the one who had founded and scaled the award-winning MindZet. Apart from this, as a Microsoft MVP and Defender, he is now at the forefront of cloud security innovation. So, today in this episode, we are going to talk about Morton's remarkable journey and the evolving landscape of the cloud security. But before that, I would like to thank Morton for joining us today in this episode. And now I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us something about yourself.
Thank you very much for having me here today. I really appreciate it here. As a matter of fact, I started out as a security MVP, as you mentioned. I've actually also become an Azure MVP. So I'm a dual MVP focusing on Azure Cloud and M365 will focus on the security. So I live in Denmark. I have a family of my wife and two teens, 18, almost 18 and almost 17. So they're grown up right now. Yeah, and I do a lot of freelance consultancy, and my customers are ranging from a smaller customer has 11 users, my largest has 562,000 users. But it's typically enterprise customers that I work with.
Yeah. And thanks for the introduction, Martin. And one thing I really admire about you is your ability to share your knowledge, because the way you share your expertise in a very layman terminology, whether you are interacting with the expert or the student. So this is everyone is admiring you for this skill. So
Thank
today,
you.
like, we will not discuss only on your technical expertise, but we will also know about your journey, like how everything got started and what path did led you to this expert role. So let's start from the very beginning itself, because you have been in IT industry since 1991 and with Microsoft almost around since 1994. So how have you seen the IT landscape evolve, particularly if we talk about the security in cloud?
Yeah, that's right. As you mentioned, I have been focusing very much on IT for a very long time, and working with security, I think, has changed very much over the time because in the beginning it was more of technology discussions, basically having an antivirus or a firewall enabled in the early days. But the way that we work and where we are moving around, and it has changed very so often. In the beginning, we were going into the office, but today we're working from home and
Yes.
we're working from an airport or whatever we are working from. So people are the way that we work has changed, and that's also very important because in the old days we had to protect, for example, our device. We had to protect, the computer or the mobile phones, whereas today we have to protect the identity. We have to protect the data so that whatever from wherever we access the data, if it's a web cafe or it's a mobile phone or it's from a laptop, we have to protect the data. We also have to protect the identity because we are using our single identity to access multiple systems that are cloud-based, typically, like an HR system or a ServiceNow platform or whatever. So the way that we have to protect things have changed very differently from the old days, I would say.
Okay. So here I would like to ask one question, Morten, because like so far with your experience, what do you think? Who are those person who are completely safe from the security threat? Is there anyone in the industry, or we can say that no, everyone has might get impacted with the security concerns as well?
I think you probably know the answer for that one, but
But I think we are all struggling, and we have to get used to a new world that we are part of, where dealing with security is something that we all need to be aware of, and that's also why eventually we as a user are the last line of defense, because we really have to be aware of that if things are, if we get an email saying, well, we won in a competition, or you won a mobile phone, then it might be a hacker trying to get your login credentials, as an example. So this is something where we have to train, and we have to be aware of these things happening, because it can be, if it feels too good to be true, then it might also be something that is not true. I think that's the problem here.
Okay, so I think now after hearing your concern or after hearing your views on this, I'm sure like pretty much other folks who are recently started their career in IT industry, they will be more cautious while doing their IT training because now they know that even the person like you who has that much of expertise that you are working in this industry for a very
Mm,
long time, still we believe
yeah.
that IT is like we might affect with some threat, so it's always
Mm,
better to make sure that you are clicking on the right
mm.
thing and you are
But
using it.
I think I'll comment to that, because I also have seen a change in the industry just over the last few years. As an example, back in November 23, Microsoft got hacked.
Mhm.
So what happened was that they went into the Microsoft, oh no, not the Microsoft, the US Congress, and basically they were told, you guys have to take a bigger responsibility for all of us, because you have such a big footprint out there. And they laid out this huge program called Secure Future Initiatives, or in daily terms, SFI, where more than 40,000 people within Microsoft has been working on, both improving technology,
Mhm.
which they have been doing for years, but also working on the processes and the organization. So overall, we all need to have a security culture when we work
Yes.
with security. And when things happen, when people are being hacked, that is when we are deviating from a normal behavior. That's when we start to make exceptions, for example, in conditional access policies, or this is where we create a user without enabling MFA, or
Mhm.
and these are examples that we all see, where we have to challenge the way that we do things. We have to have a process where we go back every quarter to revisit any exceptions that we did, and so on. And when people are being hacked, this is either when people don't have the knowledge, as you mentioned just before, they don't have the awareness training, they don't they basically click too much around,
Yes.
and they fill out things, or this is where processes are not being followed. Or you don't have any technology that enables the process. So going back to the change I've seen in the industry, earlier Microsoft was recommending things like we recommend that you enable MFA, but the change now is that now they're forcing it into it. So they're moving from recommendations to enforcing it. So we are
Mm.
seeing a lot of changes in the portals, like on this particular day, if you want to access portal.azure.com, you need to do it from an account with MFA, as an example. We also see changes with partners, where in order for you to be a partner in the coming year, you need to have a secure score of 80% in your own internal environment, and so on. So we are seeing a lot of changes simply because the criticality, if we are being hacked, is huge,
Yes.
and it can impact all of us. And the biggest problem that we have in the world, or we had earlier, was the number of tenants worldwide that were not having MFA. The number was huge. I cannot tell you the number because it's confidential, but it's huge number. And you would think why are we still struggling with MFA today? Because we are using MFA everywhere as IT people. But we have seen a lot of movement in that direction, which is good. Um, but but uh, but it can be simple things like two-factor MFA that are actually a big problem, and that has been a challenge for Microsoft, where they are now picking up on this and changing this. So we have also seen a lot of product features that were not released because the product teams had to focus on SFI.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. All right. So, Morten, with your experience across Microsoft Sentinel, Defender for Cloud, and Azure, where do you see the organization still struggling most in the security maturity? So, what do you think?
Hmm.
Like, what are those common pitfalls that everyone is afraid of?
Yeah. So again, going back to the challenge here, if you want to have a good security environment, you basically have to work on technology, of course, and processes and people, and overall having a security culture on this. In general, people are very good at the technology side,
Mm-hmm.
and that's actually the easy part because you can find guides on the internet on how to enable Defender for Endpoint, how to roll it out, how to manage it, and so on. But where I say to see the challenges is actually the processes and the people part of it. So, in short, who does what, when, how? These are challenges that we all need to work on, and that's where the maturity comes into to the picture here. So I think I covered that by my earlier statement that that's a big challenge.
Yes.
So we need to work on the processes and the people part, so that everyone knows their role in this, and they also have the time for this, because it's very important that we set up enough time in the daily work to do maintenance, to analyze the recommendations that are being laid out by the different vendors, for example, Microsoft. For example, in Microsoft, we have a term called secure score, where there are some recommendations which are being adjusted each month. And we
Mm-hmm.
have to understand what are the things that I can do to improve my security posture, like implement attack surface rules. Constantly, Microsoft are adding new ASR rules to the environment. So we need to have a process where every month we look at what are the new recommendations that we have to do with.
Yes.
So that we don't think of security as a set and forget, but we have to revisit these things all the time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So, Morten, we all know about your professional activities, your professional responsibilities. But apart from this, you are also known for your advocacy activities as in Microsoft MVP. So, we just wanted to know a bit more about your journey, like how it was started, how you became the Microsoft MVP, and your journey so far with as an
Mm.
MVP.
Yeah. So that's actually a kind of a fun story, because as you mentioned earlier, I've been in the industry for more than 30 years, and I've
Yes.
been basically sharing my knowledge and doing this for a long time. But one time I was being recommended by Microsoft to actually apply or start to share it more publicly, in the blog, as an example. So I was nominated on the 6th of January a couple of years ago, and on the 1st of February, it was announced that I was an MVP. So at the time, it took 3 weeks, which was, I think, a record at the time, where from the nomination to the actual announcement. But the reason for this was probably related to that I have a huge connection. I know a lot of people in the product teams around the world, and they kind of co-sponsored me on this journey as well. I really like to do feedback to the product teams. I travel around the world. I've been, for example, in February this year, I was in Hyderabad visiting the Microsoft office there, which is the largest outside of Redmond. I go to Redmond, to Seattle, to visit the product teams there every year. And I do private preview feedbacks as well in the Customer Connect program as an example. So I spend a lot of time to giving feedback, but I really enjoy it because I think that we all have a responsibility
Yes.
to improve these technologies, and that's where it's really cool to work with Microsoft on this because even though it's a huge organization, it's actually very easy to give feedback to the people and continuously improve if you find some bugs or you have some improvements that you want to add to the product, then you do that through these mechanisms.
Yes. And Morton, let's say if someone is there who recently started their career into IT industry and they also
Mhm.
want to become a Microsoft MVP, even though
Yeah.
students are more influenced with the certificates and the perks around these kind of programs.
Mm.
So what piece of advice would you like to give to all those person who or all
Mm.
those folks who wanted to become a
Yeah.
Microsoft MVP? So could you please help
Yeah.
them to decide
Yeah,
their path?
yeah, I'll do that. So I have actually done a couple of presentations to students in India. For example, earlier this year, I was speaking together with my daughter actually in Aurangabad for 220, I think, students, IT students there. Last year, I was presenting in Jaipur as another example at the university up there. So Microsoft has a program called Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador Program, where you can work with the product teams. You can start to go into the community where you can become a student ambassador, or and you can use that as a for example, as a badge that you can add, that you can show your folks, you can put it on LinkedIn. So there are some things that you need to do in order for you to be in the program, which is free, and but where you basically have to contribute with community activities, and that could be, for example, writing blogs. It could be running a meetup groups, like a user group activity. You can also go out and present as a speaker or whatever you do. People are engaged in the community, and I think it's very important, especially when you're a student. It's not enough just to be a technical guru in this area or an expert in this area, because it's actually a challenge where you also need to work with, you have to be good at speaking, at presenting, at
Yes.
communicating, at bringing a message to other people where they can gain value from it. And you really have to love to share your knowledge. So some of the energy that I get when I'm out speaking at conferences is by looking at people and seeing their nodding their head. Oh, I learned something today. And that's kind of my energy, that or people are giving a comment to a blog saying great blog, I really enjoyed it, or you helped me save my butt or whatever. It can be sharing your knowledge is very important, I think.
Okay, and we mentioned few times regarding your blogs. So could you please tell the exact handle where the users can find out your blogs? Is it a
Yeah.
specific website there?
Yeah. So actually, if you are in the Microsoft area, you probably have seen the acronym AKA.ms. So if you know AKA.ms, and then you can add Morten to
Okay.
this. So I actually have a Microsoft a short link for my blog. But once you type in aka.ms/Morten, you will get to my blog, which is mortenknudsen.net. So that's my blog, and I have approximately 1,000 page views every single day, 365 days a year. So I put up a lot of blogs on the area of security, automation, Azure Cloud, also some community pictures, pictures from events, and so on. For example, I'm a co-founder of a user group in Denmark called Experts Live in Denmark. So I'm also putting up pictures and stuff on that as well.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so I think this is one of the best opportunity for everyone, every listener who wanted to explore these areas. So they can simply reach out to you either in order to learn something new, or they can refer your blogs as well. So thanks for
Mm,
sharing the blog detail. All right. So now, Morten, I would like to talk about another very impactful program of Microsoft, that is MLSA, Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. So
mm,
could you please put some light on this topic as well? Like, what is this program? How can
mm.
student be a part of this program? And what are the benefits of using this community?
Yeah, I think we should probably share the link in this video afterwards.
Yes.
But basically, you can, if you're part of the IT university, then you can apply for free to be part of the Learn Student Ambassador program, and you will get vouchers so that you can test technologies for example, if you want to play around with AI or something like that, you can actually get access to that. You will also sign an NDA, so you will become part of the dialogue with the product teams, where you can give feedback, you can learn from others, and you can get your connections. So it's, as I mentioned, it's very important to get to know the product team, because you can't become an MVP if you don't know the name of the product team's
Yes.
members, or they don't know you. So you want to spend some time to get to know these folks, and they know about you. So I think that's crucial here. But the Learn Student Ambassador program is where you will put in some what are the activities that you have done. You will submit that to the program, and then you will get different levels in the program. And I think that the highest is gold ambassador, which is the highest level. And I know several Learn Student ambassadors who have now become a real MVP. For example, I have a friend, he's 21 years old. He just was announced as an MVP 2 months ago. And you can do that as part of this program.
Okay. All right. So, Morton, we all know that with your expertise, you have touched so many lives through your conferences, your sessions, your blogs, right? But we just wanted to know about those key people who have influenced your journey. Because
Mm,
behind every successful person, there is a support of network, right?
mm.
So, who have been the most influential people in your career journey, including your mentors, colleagues, or even a family members? So, who were those persons?
I think first of all, I want to thank my family, because especially my wife, because she has always been around to take care of the family when I've been traveling. I travel every single month, more or less, to around the world. My kids have also been a crucial part of this as well, and I really love to take them along, to get them engaged in this as well. So we try to do this as a family. But it's a big thank you to my wife, I would say, on this, because she's the one home taking care of everything. But professionally, I think there are a lot of people that has made an impact to my life, and especially I think I don't want to mention any names in particular, but I think the way you treat people, the way you set and you share things, and the way that you interact with people, you get to know them, and you can learn from them, and you can inspire other people. So I have learned a lot from looking at other people of how they're doing things. And but I think it's also very important that we have a lot of fun to do this, because it should not be something that you feel that, oh, I really, oh, do I have to do this? It should be fun, and you get to know a lot of people, and you get to know a lot of cultures. For example, in February, I was in Nepal, I never been to Nepal before, and I got to meet some new MVPs out there where they showed me around. I got to know the Nepal, the culture. I got to try the food. I got to go to a restaurant where there was dancing and everything. So I love to go around and visit people. And at that particular trip, I brought my family along. So they also learned from, how do you engage with people? In October, we went diving to Egypt. I've never been to Egypt before. So I wrote an MVP there. Can you help me around? And he came and picked us up and took us for lunch, and we got to know each other, even though we have never
Yeah.
met before. This is the community, how we help each other,
Yeah.
that we want to help.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, although like we have plenty of things that we can discuss here in this podcast, but we have limited time. So I would like to ask my last two questions. One is related to your hobbies, because we know that technically you are doing so many things, and I believe like traveling is also one of your part of your hobby and maybe your professional activity. Apart from this, like what hobbies or interests do you pursue that outside your professional life that helps you to stay motivated?
Yeah. Well, recently, or actually it's 4 years ago, we started to do diving as a family. And we came up and thought about that we all like to swim, and so we decided to move into the diving area. And we have had a lot of diving vacation as a family. And for me, it is meditation,
Okay.
being underwater, no email, no phone, just relaxing with a flashlight or whatever. That's really, really great. And it has given us a lot of great things that we have learned. As a family, we are all master scuba divers. I've become a dive master as well. So I've actually also taken it higher into my professional life. And my daughter thinks that I should have a diving company later on when I'm gonna retire. So that could be a lot of fun.
Okay. All right. So, Morten, before winding up this session, I'd just like to ask my last question, and that is this is regarding the security concerns, because we nowadays we all know that AI is impacting so many things. In fact, AI is impacting every domain. So, what
Mm,
couple of advice would you like to give to everyone, especially in terms of security, IT security? That what are
mm.
these common do's or don'ts that we should follow in order to be secure in the IT?
Yeah, I think the industry needs to take a big responsibility here to protect each of us. So that also goes both as to the security, but also related to compliance. So I think the industry itself needs to lay out some guidance around this and also implement some technical mechanisms so that it's being handled automatically without me as a programmer developer having to do this myself. So I think the industry needs to do that. But of course, once we are working with this, we need to use our common sense as well
Yes.
when it comes to the responses that we are getting back, so that we are not just taking and jumping to the AI conclusion by first hand. So I think we also on our own have to do some research around this as well. It's similar to a phishing email. So if you get a response back, we need to understand if it's correct or if it's not correct. So. But over time, the AI will become much, much better. So I
Yes.
think this will improve as well.
All right. Okay, so thank you so much, Morten, for joining us in this episode and for sharing your expertise regarding the security and for sharing your information about your blogs as well. So it was really very nice talking with you, and thanks for being a part of the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks.